So, welcome back to a new tutorial from Nyjo FX about EmberGen. In the last version of this tutorial, we created a simple cloud setup. I think you can remember, so it's really a basic way to create a series of dark cloud. Now our idea is to create something like thunders inside the clouds, and then we like also to add a twister and create a magic portal using essentially GPU particles. So let's go to see our general setup. It's really simple, as you can remember. This one will be a little bit more complex. So the first thing I like to do is to manage the lighting, and the lighting will be done using point lights, and we'll introduce the oscillators to animate essentially the lighting. So if we go to create a light, like light points, and we go to connect this one, let's say for example this light, you see that it's working in a really nice way. If we go to have something like that for the color, and then for the intensity something like that, you see that it seems that we have a thunder inside the lighting. And it works in a really nice way, because you see where we put this one, it creates something really similar to a thunder inside the clouds. So our basic idea is to create a light point that is completely animated by an oscillator, and it is animated by an oscillator. So the idea is to animate procedurally this light. And it is interesting because we can use this one to simulate a thunder. So let's rename this one with the F2 key. Let's call it LGT, maybe thunder underscore thunder. So this one will be our thunder light. And the basic setup is simple as you saw. So the color is something like that. We can go for 0 for the moment. By the way, let's go to change to oscillator. So you see that this parameter now is controlled by an oscillator, and in this way we can create here modulator, oscillator, and this one is able to control in an animated way the light. So you see that now it is controlled by a function. This function in this way is a waveform. So about this waveform, we can essentially control the animation, and we get to have something different. So we need just a parameter. So the first one will be, let's say, a custom, so we can manipulate the custom waveform. And we go to have something like being slow to rise up for the intensity, and then go down really fast, maybe something like that. And then we have to take care about the other parameters. Let's say that the base is 0, so when it is set to the basic value for the custom waveform, it is set to 0. You can see there. And then let's say that the amount is 200%, so it will rise a little bit higher than before. And the frequency is 1 Hz, so we have essentially this frequency. You see that we have something, a bolt, animated inside the clouds. Now the other idea is to move the slide. So to control the position, we have essentially to add another oscillator. And this oscillator is able to control the animation. So about the position, let's go back there, and let's say that we like to control also the position with an oscillator. We can say that this one is the wave intensity. And then we go to create another one, so modulator, oscillator. Let's connect it there. And this one is wave pulse, or maybe position. So in the same way, you see that the position is changing in animation, but we have to control maybe in a better way. So the idea is to use this time a noise for the x-axis, noise for the y-axis, and a sine for the z-axis. The base is gain 0, 0, 0, 0, so it's in the middle of the scene, and then we go for a lower frequency, so the animation will be slower. Okay, and about the position, we can go for 25% and maybe lower over the Z position, and we got that just to change a little bit the phase. So in this way you see that it's moving slowly in different position, and then we have the thunder. Okay, if we like, we can move this one inside the clouds, do something like that. Okay, so you see that now it should stay inside. By the way, you can control the position as you prefer. So let's go to save this one as version 2. So let's go to take care about the project. So this is the lighting, and we can select the lighting and say links, create a comment, and let's say light rig. So this one is our light rig, and you see that we have this group that it can be moved inside the node editor without any problem. So we have essentially the noise force there. I like to add a new one because I like to create a twister inside. So let's go for force, and we go to have a force line and connect. So this line essentially will be used to simulate something about, let's go in default. Okay. So you see that now this one is moving the simulation hub. Okay, so it needs to be changed. So the idea is to say, first of all, that we like to move the particles down. So rotation will be 180 degrees. So we'll see the stuff going down. And then about the push strength we'll take care about later. So let's go for the twist. This one you see that is going to create a twist inside the clouds. Obviously we have to take care about it. So the first thing is to create a fall off. So let's set fall off to cubic about the fall off force, and we say the fall off radius is 2.5 meters, so it's smaller than before. You see that now we have this one working essentially just in this area. If we go back to reset the simulation and we launch again, you will see that we have essentially the twister in this area. Let's go to tweak a little bit the values there. So we have the twist. Let's go to introduce a little bit of repeal. Let's say maybe 5. You see that this one will take care about a better energy there. And then we rotated this one, by the way, maybe we can maintain the same way, or maybe we can use the push down. Let's go for -4. So you see that it should be moving down. Yeah, it is visible from the top. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now the interesting thing is that maybe we have to change the emission to be sure that we'll have an empty space inside the volume, or maybe we can take care about it with a fall off. We can decide for both ways, it's not a problem. Other things, maybe we can go to introduce a little bit of chaos in the force. It will be visible step by step. This one will introduce a little bit of chaos in the animation to make it more interesting. We're going also to animate the stuff later, so for the moment we can stay with this value. It's okay, so let's save. Okay, and stop the simulation. Okay, let's add a new light. This one will be useful to simulate the energy in the portal. So we go to rename to LGT portal, and color will be something like a magenta color, something like that. The energy will be controlled by another oscillator, so we can decide later. For the moment we can take care to have it there inside the portal, and then we go to animate and take care about it in another way. So I like to take care about the emission. Actually it's controlled by this one that now is not active, so we have this noise. Okay, let's create something more complex, because actually we need something else. So the emitter this one, let's delete this one, so we are free to create what we need. These particles can be removed, and this one is essentially the primitive. This one is what we need, but we need another primitive. So let's copy for the moment this one, Ctrl C, Ctrl D there, because I'm going to create something more complex. The force is okay, so I like to have a primitive, and let's go to have for the moment a noise, and we say that we like to see the emitter, so that's our emitter actually, it's just a noise. If we go to connect this one and we set to off, you see that this one is the shape we are using. So we go to blend, to use a blend, so shape blend. Okay, first shape is a primitive, then the noise is the shape B, and this one is the shape. Okay, so this one is useful because we are able to control essentially how the simulation is done. So let's take care about it. Okay, so let's change the primitives, and we go for a rounded box, and then we take care about the position. Let's rise up, and we go to change also the simulation space to 200. Let's remove this one. Okay, so we have now the primitive set to off. Okay, and the scaling will be something like, let's say 37, 35 and 6, and then we can go back to have the noise. Okay, so you see in this way we have the cloud that is created, but to create something more complex we can blend to noise. So the idea is to have essentially the noise number one, that is this one. We go to have this one maybe just a little bit more little. Let's go for a different seed, and this one is okay, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, then we'll take care about the bias in the animation, and we get to create a new noise. Okay, and then we get to have another blend. So this one is going up there, and we get to take care about this one. So the second noise, it's a little bit different, and we go to something like a bigger scale. It is double. Let's go back to 0 there, and for the other parameters, let's go to a smaller bias. Sorry, 4.467. Okay, it is something I changed before and it works essentially nicely. Okay, and then for the Z, let's go back to the original value. About the blending, we get to blend the noises using essentially a smooth union. Okay, and then about the other one is a smooth intersection as before. Maybe we can use directly an intersection. Okay, so we can say that we don't want to see the particles, the emitter. By the way, you see actually the result. We have to animate the twister and the lighting because I want to have the stuff animated later. Okay, so back and save. So now it is time to take care about the particles. So we go to set emitter particles to 1. It is connected to the particles inside scene, so it is ready. Just to be sure, we have to take care about the parameters and also the emitters. So we go for the first one because we are going to use 2 particles emitter. So the first one will be essentially done with the torus as we done before. Maybe we go just to rise up this one, let's say maybe 11.6, so it is inside 1 meters here and 2 meters 3 here, so it's a little bit different than before. And then we have to go to use the first emitter, this one. So let's go to take care about the parameters. We can set 12 and see what happens. You see that we have the particles working in this way. And now they are controlling also the smoke. Okay, so we can remove just for a moment this one. Let's see. Okay, we have just the particles. Okay, and then we have again the volume. By the way, let's go to see how the particles are working. So this one is set 12, that's okay, and this one. So the first one, let's go to take care about the amount of particles. Maybe we can also have again the clouds. Okay, and this one is the primitive is okay. Emitter particles. We have a lot of things to take care about it. We get to have more particles. So let's say maybe. Let's go for 15 millions, maybe can be enough because we need a lot of particles. So let's go for the moment for 1 million and 55,000. It is something enough for what we are trying to achieve, and we go to have more particles for each burst size if we need it. And then we go to the emission. We are going to change from regular to entangled. In this way the particles are connected. You see between them. We can also have maybe this one at the beginning. Okay. Yep. And then we can go back to change this one. We like to have 5,000 particles connected between the various particles to create just an entanglement, and then the other parameters can stay like we had before. And let's go to change a little bit the lifetime. We can take care about it. So Let's say that the lifetime is minus 0.2 and maximum 0.8, so the particle life is a little bit higher. We go with no randomness, but we can add randomness on the particles if we like. So for example, let's say 20% randomness in the life. And then the other things can stay by default. Okay. Let's leave also the other stuff by default. Maybe we go just to have the velocity damping. So we'll have the damping over the velocity really high. Okay, so we can see how it works. Okay, so about the shading, let's go to see if we have something we have to take care about maybe later. So let's go there, and we can leave in this way, and we can move to the other parameters. So life is done. Collision, we have no collision, so we can leave in this way, and the other things can stay as default about the shaping. And then about the rendering, let's say rendering particles. Okay, so you see we have just particles and we have no other stuff. And the particles, let's say, that are emissive, so they are creating lighting. Okay, and let's go for additive, so they are adding in rendering the lighting on the other stuff. And then let's see, maybe we can take care about the color. So let's say cycle over time, so the particles will change color. The first color can be something like a bluish color, maybe something like that. And then we go for, let's see if the emission boost is lower, maybe 45%. And then we go for a uniform color modulation, and the model color, let's go for something strange. Okay, something like that. And let's say that we have an automation of the color during the life of the particles. More things, injection, let's say that is not creating injection. So let's remove this one and let's go back because it is starting to be slow. And let's say that we have no smoke, so 0%. So we should have just particles created. Okay, so it is working. Okay, we can have this one back to a higher value, so let's say maybe 14. Okay, and we need another meter here, so let's say this one, and let's say that we have another shape. So we get to connect this one, and we get to connect to the other one. We set to off the first one, so we have the possibility to see how it works. And let's go to have a sphere this time. The position will be similar, and then we go to have a smaller value. And then about the particles, actually if we go there, let's say that we like to remove this one. Okay. You see we have this kind of particles, and then we go to create something else. Okay, so the second one, let's say that we have to create some different values, so let's save. Okay, so let's go to set various parameters there. Let's say later we go to animate this one. By the way, for the moment, let's go for really higher value, so let's say maybe 4 millions, and then we go for a huge amount of particles there, so let's say that we go for 1 million on both sides, and we go for a regular emission, and in this case if we go back, you see we have something like that. Really nice. Okay, so we leave the parameters similar like that. We go to have an higher life there. And let's say that we have no randomness, so maybe we can leave the same. Let's go for a velocity range for the particles, and let's say that the particles are not moving over the x-axis, the y-axis, and they move just over the z-axis. Let's say minus 25 and minus 50. Let's go there and let's see. You see the particles are moving down, and we go to have an higher speed scale, so the particles will move faster. You see, it's something like opening a portal. Okay. Then we go to have the various level there. Maybe we can go also higher, 3.5. And about the value there for the gravity multiplier, we leave the default gravity 10%, and then the velocity damping 2 is the same. Then we go for the other parameters, and about the collision, we have no collision, so let's go for the shape is okay. Let's go for the random particles. Emissive, additive, we leave the same value there as the previous one, and I think we can stay in this way. So you see that the particles are creating this strange value. Okay, so if we go back to have this one, now we have together this strange animation, but it is nice. And then we have also the clouds, so we have this strange effect inside, and the light portal is inside the effect we just created. So the thing I like to do is that obviously all the stuff will be animated and created step by step, because we are obviously taking care about the parameters there, and everything is changing too, so we like to change something. So let's start simulating the various stuff by the animations. So the first thing I like to do is to say when the particles will emit. So both will have the animation, so let's say that this one is animated, and the same is for the second one. Let's say that at the beginning it is set to off, so we have no particles, and then we say that at frame 300, okay, it is set to enable. In this way we should have something like, let's remove the volume. We have essentially, you see, no particle emission, and then we have the particle emission just when we reach the frame 300, and that's something that is really useful. You can see that now should have the particles. We should have the particles. Okay, it is open, you see? Okay, nice. That's done. Let's say that we like to control also the simulation of the volume. Let's remove there, and we like to control the vorticity. Actually, we have the animation there, so we got to control the vorticity intensity, the large vorticity, and the velocity mask, and the constant mask. So let's say that this one is animated, this one is animated, constant mask, and the velocity mask. Okay, So value at frame 0 can be 260, let's say 5%, and then 30% there. So the smoke will behave in a different way than before. Okay, so we'll have different vortices inside. We have to say also that we have no force for the line, but also the animation of the light portal. So the light intensity is animated, and let's say that there it is 0, and it will be 0 until maybe frame 45, so let's say something like that, also like that, and then it will happen in 50 frames, let's say maybe something like that. It will rise up. We'll see later how much. Okay, so this one will be animated. Something else, the force line, and also we are going to add also another force later. By the way, the force line for the moment, it is set to animate the constant mask, this one, so we can decide how much is visible and how much is not visible. By the way, let's go to save. So this one will be animated, and let's say that at the beginning it is set to 0. Sorry. So in this way we should have no rotation, as you can see. Okay, so we decide to add the rotation later. So let's go at we can control the bias for the noise, this one. Let's tweak. Let's say that I like to see this one, so I like to play just a little bit with this one. Okay, let's see also this one. Okay, I like to animate this one. Let's say that it's 0 there, and then at frame, let's say maybe 240, let's go to 0.2. Sorry, it is 0.2 there, and it is 0 there. Okay, so this one is animated, and then let's move forward. We get to animate something else, and I like to change the scale of the force, this one. So let's go to animate this one. Let's say that we go to animate essentially the scale, the amplitude, and the smoke mask. So let's say scale, amplitude, and the smoke mask. Okay, so at frame, let's go around maybe 280. We get to set the scaling to 70. Okay, you see that is simulating in a similar way as we had before, but we have a different scaling for the noise, so we have something different. Also, also the light can be animated and start later, so about the oscillator. Let's go to the beginning, and let's say that the intensity is essentially animated, so we go for the percentage there, so this one is animated. So it is 0 at the beginning, and then we go around 300, so we have for sure the clouds is maybe still 0, and then we have essentially maybe 200 frames or something like that to make it visible. Okay, so we'll have, before we have, you see the thunder is lower, so this one is 0, this one is 0, and this one is 200. Okay, let's leave the other value to 0, so we should have okay, later we can double check if everything is working fine. We have something there, so I have to double check, by the way. Actually, let's go to check the value is minus. Okay, in this way it is set completely off, and then it is starting to behave in the right way. Okay, so the light is animated, the simulation is animated, so it should work in the right way. By the way, we'll double check later. At the frame 300, when we have the clouds that are working in the right way, we go to have, this one is right, and this one is right, so it should be the right value. So let's say again 2, 65, and 30. About the noise, it should be right. By the way, later we'll double check if it is working nicely. Okay, so let's go back and save. Okay, let's go to animate more stuff. Let's go at frame 360, so more time is gone, and we go to have the right value there. Let's see, for the noise we go for the amplitude to 2, on the smoke mask to 10. Okay, and what about the other value? We can stay with the default, so let's move forward for let's go for example to 480. Okay, at 480 we go to maintain the scaling to 70 maybe, and let's go maybe lower there. Okay, then we can take care about the parameters if it is not so much, and then we can go to set to off the first particle emission. Okay, so one will continue to work and the other way will be set to off. Then we can control the animation as frame 500. We have the wave intensity set to the right value, and then we can go to 600. And let's say that we have essentially the amplitude of the noise set to 1. So we have a lower value, and we go to have, let's say this one, the constant mask will be animated maybe at frame later, so it will rise up. So let's say that at frame 745 we go to have the smoke density scale animated, just to have an higher value, but we can animate it later. So the first line will be 100%. So the twister is completely animated. Let's see how it looks. So we can double check if everything is working nice or not. So you see we have the clouds that are starting to take the shape. Maybe we have to double check there the vorticity, because I like to have a different vorticity at the beginning. Then we should start see. Let's go to simulate with a lower value there for the, let's say 15. So let's go for lowest was, so let's say 200, and let's say this one will be, maybe we can leave to 150. Okay, it is a little bit faster than before. So we have still the stuff that are, we have maybe the line that is animated in the wrong way. So it's this one. The line should stay stopped until maybe 300, when the stuff are starting to open the portal. So we have again the clouds that are forming. And then we should have the light portal opening just there with the particles too, but the particles are set to off, obviously. And I think we have to double check the value there for the simulation vorticity. By the way, the clouds are, you see, are starting to generate. And then now we should have something wrong there, not sure if it is working or not. Yeah, it is working. Okay, so you see that it's opening, we have the light inside, we have the thunderstorm around. Okay, so save, and then we can double check. I like to add another force. I like to add a point force, and I like also to double check the simulation step there for the vorticity. So let's go to play with the smoke density, and the smoke density scale is, let's say at the beginning 10, but I like to animate. So the smoke density will be 10 until, let's say, frame 300. So let's say that when we are here, it is 10, and then it will rise up until 750 or something like that. So when we are around there, let's go for something like 40. So you see it's really higher than before. And about the simulation vorticity, maybe we can stay with the default value for the moment. and then we should see if we add another force, a point. Okay, this one is connected to the forces. Okay, so this one is up. We go to have it something around there, so let's say maybe 11.5. It is inside, you see, and then we say that we have a repeal strength of -2, and we add also a little bit of pressure, negative pressure. We have a fall off, and we go for linear, so the force is acting just in this area, 5 meters, and then that's all. So if we go again to see, we have this force working in this area, but we are going to say when this force will work. So essentially it will stay at 0 and behaving like the other one. So let's stop and let's say that we got to use the constant mask as the other. So this one is 0 and it's animated, so is there. Okay, so let's say that this one is 0 together with the other and behave in the same way. So when we are around here, it will be at the right value, and we can decide, for example, to have something like let's say maybe 100% like the other. Okay, again let's go to take care about the scaling for the noise. This one, the value for the noise, I'd like to double check, is 8, so let's see, this one is 30. Let's say that it's 30 there. Or maybe let's set the heat 30 there. Not sure if the scaling is right. I like to double check. This way it is 30, it seems not bad, because you see it is creating big clouds. Obviously you can take care about it, changing its value. It can be also directly 70 every time if you like it. I like also to double check the processing there, because if we like, we can have a little bit of cloud removal, you see, in this area, something like that. Okay, what about maybe let's try to have no animation, it's just a test. So the clouds should be bigger. You see, essentially the cloud's density is useful also to create the stormy clouds step by step. You see this rising, so it is starting to, seems that the clouds are more stormy than before. You see. Okay, let's set to off, and we can have back also. the particle emitter, so now it should work in a really nicely way. Obviously you have the possibility to take care about the noises there inside the emitter, to have something about the shape that works in a different way. By the way, you see that the clouds are created step by step, and then we should start to have an higher density. We should have to see the thunders, the portal is opening, you see, so we have the particles, we have the twister inside that is starting to move. And you see that we have the light inside the portal. Maybe something that can be done is to move the light thunder, because you see actually it's really low, so we can say that the base is higher, so it is inside, and we can do the same for this one, so it can be a little bit more inside. And then again we can launch the simulation. If we go to remove this one, obviously it's more visible. You see that we have the stuff moving inside, and we have this one about the portal maybe can be lower, so we set the animation to a really high value. It's essentially this one here, it is 24, and then maybe you can say maybe 50, or maybe again 30, so it's not so much. Okay. About the processing, we can also maybe let's move the minus. Okay, you see in this way we are removing a little bit of clouds, and if we set back this one, you see that it's more visible. So we have the portal inside, we have the thunder inside, and everything is working nicely together. To see it with a better quality, you have just to remember that we add a lower resolution there, so we can set back to 0.1, and we go for 300, 300, and 200. And again, we can play and see how it works. Obviously, we have more resolution than before, so we have more details. Maybe it's a little bit slower than before. By the way, let's remove the icons, and let's remove also the bounding box, so we see just the clouds. You see that obviously everything is lower than before because the resolution is really higher, but the quality we are achieving at the moment is really nice. So it is creating the portal. You see that it's starting to open the portal. We have really nice clouds around. We should see, you see the thunders inside. The portal is opening, so we see the light inside. It is starting to twist, and it is amazing to see GPU particles and volumes moving so fast and with this high quality. Okay guys, so that's all for clouds for the moment. We are going to release a new free tutorial about Twister really soon, maybe next week. And so thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye!